So we are here at Lazy Days Collision and Repair. Elite Towing came 90 miles to just east of Tucson to get us off the side of the road after 18 hours. So Elite is who we talked to last night, like at 10 or 11 o'clock. And FMCA's Safe Ride called them and didn't want to pay their price. They were the only people to come. There wasn't anyone else to be found. DPS told us that most of the tow trucks are out at a sand dunes event over in the desert, and this guy from Elite knew the same thing. He said everybody's gone and busy. The place that they tried to contract with wasn't the right place to take it to, and they tried to tell us that we were going to have it towed again from there, but FMCA's customer service was very clear that no, they're supposed to take it to the closest appropriate place, not just the closest place and drop it. So I don't know, the guy here at Lazy Days, we're just starting, but he's kind of optimistic. We'll see. It's going to be a while though before we get her back, if we get her back.
Hey roamers, welcome back to Roaming with Rosie to learn what happened next. If you don't know what happened to us, we suffered a catastrophic rear tire blowout when we were heading westbound on the I-10 just east of Tucson, Arizona last week.
You can pop over and watch last week's video using the QR code here, or if you're watching on a phone, tablet, or computer, you can click right here, or there's a link in this video's description. But here's a recap. It's probably enough to total it, because she's old and insurance companies don't give her a whole lot of value.
We were heading to Arizona for Thanksgiving. Had a rear tire blowout. Here's a bunch of electronic components, and this is all stuff that was, whatever was in there is gone because the tire blew out and sent it all over the highway.
So as you can tell, it's daylight and we're still sitting in the car in front of the RV on the I-10 freeway. Customer service at FMCA says we should have just had the police call a wrecker and have them tow it last night and we would get reimbursed, but we didn't know we would get reimbursed, and the Safe Ride company just says, well, you can try to get reimbursed. They keep wanting to send us a tire. The RV is probably totaled.
But what the problem is the tire took out all the electronics that run the jacks, the slides, the side of the RV is all blown out where all the panels are busted out, and all the electronic components are gone. There's just wires hanging there.
We're back in our home base in New Mexico, and we're so thankful that we do have that. At the moment, however, we're also really sad and disappointed because it looks like even if they can fix the RV, it's probably going to take several months.
And we had planned to spend January and February along the vicinity of the Colorado River in Arizona with many of the friends we've met in Quartzsite.
So we'll still be heading to Quartzsite, but with a rented motorhome, and that's not very cheap, so we'll only be there for the weeks of the big RV show.
And this week we wanted to show you exactly what it took to tow a Class A 40-foot diesel pusher 20 miles to Lazy Days RV Collision and Repair Shop in Tucson, Arizona.
So Elite Towing arrived about 16 hours after our blowout. And because there's a lot involved with just setting up the tow, and every situation is different, we really appreciated that they absolutely knew exactly what they were doing, because further damage very easily could have resulted from that.
And when I spoke to them the night before they actually came out and towed us, they told me exactly what they needed to do, and that it would take up to about 2 hours to get the RV prepped for towing.
One of the first things they did when they got there was hook their towing fork to the front of the motorhome.
This is to lift it up high enough to be able to run the air from the tow truck to the RV.
Oh my God, so dangerous.
Diesel pusher motorhomes have air brakes. Air is what makes the brake system function. Without air flowing through there, the brakes will lock up and the RV will not roll. Next, they needed to put down boards so they can roll the inner tire up onto the boards to change the tire. They use a remote control from the tow truck to have the tow fork pull the RV up so they can get the inner tire up onto the boards. Then they remove the blown tire. They also had to remove the drive shaft so they don't damage the transmission while towing. The inner liner for the wheel well was torn during the blowout, and they had to remove what was hanging down. After that, they secured the air line that ran from the front so that the air will stay active during towing.
She's ready to tow. Might be her final trip. Just taped together replacement tire pieces by the side of the road.
Then we followed them to Lazy Days RV Collision and Repair in Tucson, Arizona, where it took almost another hour to properly unload the RV.
It might be her final trip. It took 2 hours to get it ready to tow. It's going to take them about an hour to get it unhooked. Lazy Days is nice and said they asked us, do you have food in your refrigerator and stuff, so they're gonna put it on electric. For the weeks that this is gonna take, we're not getting charged storage. There's actually another See Ya here, which is rare to see another See Ya. Of course, Tucson is where Rosie came from. This one's from, looks like Washington. Yeah, wonder whose that is.
That all added up to about 8 hours that'll be billed to FMCA. We didn't have to lay out any money and hope to get reimbursed. What are the options for RVers who want to be covered in the event of needing roadside assistance?
There are several roadside assistance options available for RVs, both standalone and also add-ons to your current insurance plan.
But keep in mind that they're all checking with the same local towing and service providers. It's like they put out and they wait for bidding to come in. It's not like each insurer has their own tow truck stationed all over the map. I posted a request in several social media groups asking people to share their roadside stories and if they were satisfied with the response when they needed it.
Wow, did we get a lot of responses. Apparently a lot of RVers have experienced what we've experienced. Here's just a few stories that they shared with us.
Bev writes, we thought roadside rescue from FMCA would be better also, but sadly they left us hanging twice. They couldn't find anyone to rescue us. I wrote them a letter canceling our policy and asked for a refund. Sadly, they ignored me. We have CoachNet now and use them once for a lockout. Joan sent us this. We also had issues with Good Sam. They wanted to tow it to a company that didn't work on Class A RVs and told me it would be a 12-hour wait. I told them I had a 95-year-old hospice patient on board that required oxygen. They told me to call the state police. The state police took me and my mom to a hotel and had a tow truck to the RV on the side of the interstate in 4 hours. Car Guy writes, I had a good experience with Good Sam and a not so good one with CoachNet. The way I see it, they all kind of suck when you need them, but they can save you on a big tow bill for sure. This one's from Dawn. I broke down in Idaho a few years ago. Good Sam told me it was an 8 to 12 hour wait. I called the state police non-emergency. A car came out and called a tow truck. He was there within 20 minutes, and my insurance, Progressive, reimbursed 100% of the costs. I no longer have Good Sam. From Debbie, we had Good Sam's roadside service, and it was wonderful. We had a tire blowout 3 days in a row. They sent someone out every time, no problem. This from Rodney. I had a similar issue with Good Sam 2 years ago in Texas. Took almost 18 hours to get a mobile mechanic to me. I was lucky enough to be able to make it to a truck stop and was stuck there until I finally requested a supervisor who got me a mobile mechanic out to replace my compressor. I no longer have Good Sam either. Lois writes, the day I got my Class A RV, I got 20 miles down the road and blew a steering tire going about 75 miles per hour. Had to have a wrecker they used for semi-trucks and had to wait 5-ish hours for one. The wrecker driver was not supposed to put the spare on, only was supposed to tow us to the closest shop, but he did. It took out the self-leveling and some electrical. Progressive Insurance Roadside was amazing. I was $0 out of pocket, and I only had the policy for an hour at most when it happened. Randall from Canada shares a good story. Being Canadian, we have CAA Premium Plus RV coverage. We were on an emotionally important trip to share with our grandchildren when en route we had a fuel pump failure in New Brunswick. Being technical, I was confident it was a fuel pump and not something I could resolve on the side of the road. I called CAA, and within 90 minutes there was a heavy wrecker there and put me on the hook. They dropped me at a truck center about 20 miles away. The truck center was amazing. They did everything they could to get us repaired, and we were back on the road Tuesday by 5 p.m. It was a difficult delay, but everyone, CAA and the repair center, did everything they could to help. Mark writes to us and not only shares his story, but an explanation of what's going on behind the scenes when we call for help. Mark says, a similar story here regarding the tow service that many of us feel secure about having in our insurance policy. It's crap. Everyone should read this so that they know what is happening behind the scenes when you request a tow. Here's how it works, or should I say doesn't work. You have mechanical issues and call the insurance company and request towing services. They say, oh, so sorry to hear that. We will get a tow service to you right away, and thank you for letting us serve you as your insurance provider. You take a deep breath and a sigh of relief, feeling much better about the insurance premiums you've been paying all these years. Then he gets into the reality. What's happening behind the scenes? The insurance company releases the job for bidders. There's a ton of sketchy operators waiting behind the scenes for that job to hit their screens. Many of them don't even own any towing equipment. Some scumbag who's posing as a towing company accepts the job so it changes the status in the system as pending. This fake towing operator now has 2 hours to try and find a real tow operator that they can farm the job out to at a lower cost so they make a finder's fee type of profit as the middleman. Meanwhile, you're sitting there on the side of the road just under 2 hours later when the scumbag calls and says, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to find the right equipment to handle your rig. I'm releasing the job back into the bidding system and another operator should be in contact with you very shortly. So the job is reopened for bid and the next fake operator jumps on it. And now the 2-hour service level agreement clock starts again. I finally searched and found an operator in the area that truly had the right equipment. The insurance company said that they were not on their preferred provider list. I told them that their preferred providers should all be in jail for fraud and that we were going to pay out of pocket for a real operator to come help us and I would submit the invoice for a full refund. They did eventually refund us, but it took a lot of nasty messages to get them to do the right thing. Anyway, in the future, if I have a problem, I will first find an operator that has the right towing equipment and experience, and then I will contact the insurance agency and explain that I have an operator already and give them the towing operator contract information so that they can set up the tow job and payment directly. That makes a lot of sense. The feedback we got shows that Progressive RV insurance with roadside assistance seems to be straightforward and reliable, but it can take some time to get reimbursed. If you can't pay your credit card in full each month, then you're going to have to absorb the interest of that.
And because of that, another point was brought up on a Facebook comment, and that is to figure out how much it would cost to actually tow your RV and then set that money aside. That way you can pay for it yourself and then wait to get reimbursed from either your insurance policy or your standalone roadside assistance.
As a standalone in the US, there's 4 companies that are popular to choose from for roadside assistance. FMCA, which is a nonprofit member-owned club for RVers, Good Sam, CoachNet, and AAA. We have some concerns about AAA's roadside assistance for RVs. The RV Miles Show on YouTube with Jason Epperson did an episode about this in 2022. He goes into some of the reasons he will not recommend AAA for RVers roadside assistance. There's a link here or in the description of this video, and we highly advise you to watch that episode of RV Miles.
As an add-on, you can add it onto your RV's insurance policy, and some of the most popular insurance companies for RV insurance are Progressive and National General. Now, it's worth some time on your part to research which is used most in your area, or if you plan to travel far, you'll want to see which is most reliable in the areas you plan to travel.
We hope this episode has given you some ideas about what you need when it comes to roadside assistance, and if you can afford to not have it.
We're in the Phoenix area now. We stayed here 2 nights. We were heading to the Phoenix area for Thanksgiving with our friends. We do have coverage for the hotel, so we have our Progressive insurance, paying for transportation if we needed it, which we didn't. The tow car's fine, but paid for hotel, and we had to find a hotel that Dexter could come in, and he's not used to being indoors at any strange place, so he came up in the elevator the first time, and then when we tried to go back to the elevator, he started wailing, shrieking. He wanted no part of it again, so we are on the 3rd floor, up and down the stairs with him. But he's okay. He slept through the night. We were afraid he would bark at every single noise because he's not used to any of this. But we are taken care of. It's not quite as fun as staying in our big RV with everything we need. Now we're heading back to Tucson, get a U-Haul, unload everything we might need over the next 2 to 3 months. Yeah, so this has not been fun, but it's been okay. And we're so glad we had good insurance coverage for no matter what we needed. So today we leave from the Phoenix area, drive down to Tucson, pick up a U-Haul, unload Rosie, and then we'll drive the tow car and the U-Haul back to New Mexico. Happy Thanksgiving, happy holidays.
If you love the information we're providing here on Roaming with Rosie and you want to support the channel, you can use our links for the equipment and services we use and recommend.
And we also find discounts wherever possible and pass that savings on to you. We'd love you to visit our Amazon storefront to browse equipment and gifts for the RVers in your life, as well as your normal Amazon shopping. We get a small commission and it costs you nothing more.
In the coming weeks, we're going to be putting out updates of the progress of our claim and whether or not Progressive is going to total or actually repair our RV, as well as more episodes about safe RVing.
But we'll also be returning to our regular scheduled programming, beginning with our travel to the Pacific Northwest of the U.S., filled with lots of travel tips and don't miss places. Thanks for watching and supporting Roaming with Rosie.
And we hope you found this video helpful, and really appreciate it if you'd share it with your friends and family on social media. And if you're not yet a subscriber, hit that subscribe button.
And ring that bell. That way YouTube will serve you our next video when it's uploaded.
And make sure to leave a comment. That way you could be part of the conversation.
Until next time,
we'll see ya.